What's going on? What's going on, team? Welcome back to another week. Welcome back to another weekly Stock Talk. My name is Xander with Fates of Trading Academy. This week, what we'll be checking out is checking out the top 15 stocks that are in play that you should be adding to your watch list and paying attention to that will have a great recovery. So that's what we'll be going over in this weekly Stock Talk. We're also going to take a look at the S&P 500 and we'll take a look at the NASDAQ, see how they're doing. Last week, we saw a bit of a pullback. This week on Monday, we ended up seeing a nice push to the upside. So we're looking for a continuation of that and the stocks that are going to be rallying alongside the S&P 500 recovering and the NASDAQ. So on the chart right now, we have the S&P 500. Like I said, last week, we saw a nice pullback happening here. We ended up pulling back for the little, it was about, 3-4 days that we were just straight pulling back. And then today on Monday, we ended up opening up and had a nice push to the upside, breaking the SMA line and the EMA line, pushing to the upside. So we ended up bouncing right off of this support right here, and we are still looking fairly good. We're at about 420. We're looking at 426 as previous highs. So we still have some room to the upside. We're not very overbought on the RSI, and the MACD is looking fairly good. So that's the situation here with the S&P 500. Taking a look at the NASDAQ /NQ. Taking a look at the NASDAQ, same thing. We ended up pulling back last week, and then we ended up pushing up to the upside today. We're doing fairly good here. Well, that's the wrong one. /NQ. There we go. That's the one. Same setup as the previous one. That one just doesn't track the proper days. So this one, same situation, pulled back just like the S&P 500 did, pulled back. We ended up seeing a bounce here near the support, not necessarily at the support, but very close to it. And then today we ended up opening up and pushing to the upside. So we're looking very good. We still have plenty of room to run till we hit 14,204. Here we're not, same thing as S&P 500. We're not overbought yet. So we do have a couple of days, I would say. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stocks in play this week. I do want to jump in and talk about AMC for a quick second. We ended up talking about this with the team. We were talking about a resistance here at 60. We ended up breaking above it last week on Thursday and Friday. However, we didn't go too high. So we had a resistance here at $63 that we ended up getting rejected all last week at. 60 is a very strong resistance. And then 63 ended up being, where it usually fakes out to and then pulls back. So we ended up seeing a nice pullback happen today. Like I said, with something like AMC, you take it day by day. So I wouldn't be really, in my opinion, it's a little too risky to be holding overnight or, long-term holding this, especially at these price levels, because we have so much downside. So if we measure the risk to reward here, even if we rally up back to 77, our reward is looking to be approximately 35%, but our risk is approximately 352%. So risk to reward ratio is absolutely out of the question here. And if we're looking at the support and resistance levels, like I said, 60 to 63 is where we usually have been. We're getting rejected. We ended up getting rejected there today as well. We are starting to push back down to the downside. So that next level I'd be watching would be about 50, 51. And then after that, I'd be watching that 42.05 level. If we do break up above 63, then it has potential to rally back up to 77. But in my opinion, it's fairly unlikely. I don't think it's going to happen this week. But I can definitely, I would expect this to potentially break down to the downside. We ended up breaking below the EMA here today. So that's already not a good sign. We broke through that support level as well. That's also not a good sign. And we're looking like we're dipping down on the MACD as well as the RSI. So that's kind of what's going on with AMC. Like I said, take it day by day. Today, would have been a great exit day and kind of waiting for lower lows to re-enter if you're really trying to come back into AMC. However, riding this wave down as it corrects, not something I prefer, not the way I trade. So I don't recommend doing that. However, to each their own, right? So out of the stocks that we're going to be looking at as far as the opportunities go with the push up to the upside here in the market, the first one we're going to be taking a look at is going to be PENN, and that's Penn National Gaming. So we ended up breaking above the EMA here today. We ended up being oversold here on Friday of last week. And then we did end up getting a signal here on the MACD to push up to the upside. So with the break of this support, this bounce on this support is the first thing we're looking at. We broke through the EMA here. That's the second thing we're looking at. We ended up getting confirmation closed above that EMA here today. And then, obviously we're starting to recover here from this oversold territory on the RSI. MACD also looking very, very good, very, very strong. What's going to be really important is this SMA line here at 83.34. That's what we're going to be watching here as a potential resistance where we got rejected here previously. If we end up getting rejected, that'd probably be a good sell point. However, if we do break to the upside, that would probably be, more indication that this is going to be a bullish reversal here. And we might potentially start heading back up to this resistance right up here. If not, probably 100, 109. That's where I'd be looking at next. That'd be a great level to have. Speaking of which, so this level right here, that'd be the next probably resistance after this SMA line, right? So this 107, 108 level, 109. So that's what's going on here. Great opportunity here. The profit potential here is looking very, very good. We're looking at about, even if we're looking to the RSI, we're going to take a look at all of them. We're looking at about 10% to the SMA. And then to the next support or next resistance level, that's about 30%. And then all-time highs, we're looking at about 87%. So profit potential is definitely there. The risk, obviously, we'd be looking at something around 73, where we did end up seeing this bounce and that support that we found just the other week on Friday. And then we also found that support here at the beginning of May as well. We ended up finding support at that level and kind of been trending around that level for some time now. I'm just consolidating. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this break out to the upside. Penn National Gaming is a great company. So, not something I'd be too stressed and too worried about. We haven't seen these levels since basically the beginning of the year. So at this price point, I think it's a very, very good deal. Definitely one to add to your watch list and consider. The next ones that we're going to take a look at are all going to be kind of in the same sector. We're going to look at, banks. So it's going to be banks as in banking. We're going to be taking a look at BAC. That's the first one we're going to be taking a look at. That's Bank of America Corporation. We ended up seeing a nice pullback all of last week. We were pulling back. We usually end up seeing a nice bounce here on this SMA line. We ended up breaking that actually and pulled back even lower because of the financial or because of the Fed policies that people were concerned about, right? And then we ended up seeing that, those shift over the weekend. We'll know more on Tuesday, but we saw those shift a little bit. And so we ended up starting to recover here along with the market recovering. And that has a play as to why the market began to recover as well. We ended up breaking the EMA line. So that's a good sign. Plenty of room to run on the RSI, and the MACD is looking very good. So, we're looking at about, if we're looking to previous highs at 43, we're looking at about 88%. Obviously really liking this one. This has a very consistent and strong pattern. We've just been trending up for, all of pretty much since December, even before that, basically October, November, December, we've just been trending up and up and up and up and up. So this pullback, in my opinion, is a very, very good opportunity to jump into banks in general. And, especially with BAC, this is a very good opportunity because you're jumping in at around, even now at 39.74, we have highs at 43.5, very consistent, strong pattern. Really, really like this one. Very similar to this is USB. Same setup, same pattern, constantly bouncing on the SMA line. Same situation here on the RSI, same situation here on the MACD. Pullback, very similar, looks very, very similar. Ended up pulling back to -1 standard deviation, ended up finding a support there, bouncing, and we are breaking EMA, heading to the upside. Here, very similar, we're looking at about 10% profit potential. And another one, that's US Bank Corp. And then the other one that we're looking at is BK. That's Bank of America or Bank of New York. Same situation, all of the banks, all these bank companies, they're all pulling back and recovering very, very similarly. So this one was at 53.22. We're at, 49.66. We're looking at about 6% profit potential. Find the one where you have the best profit potential, right? And the least amount of risk, right? So this one probably be on the last one out of the banks that I'd be looking at. I like USB and I like USB and I like BAC. Those two look very, very good, but they're all going to be acting very, very similarly in the same fashion. So the next ones that we're going to take a look at is going to be CAT. We had this one on watch since last week. This pullback, very, 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 very strong pullback, ended up being oversold for some time. We ended up finding support here at 209, and then we ended up breaking the EMA here today. We're starting to head up to the upside. Plenty of room here on the RSI, and the MACD is looking very good. Very similar to the bank stocks we're looking at. A very consistent trend to the upside, bouncing off of this SMA line. We ended up breaking the SMA, pulled back very, very strong, and then found support here at 209. Like I said, starting to recover here. I really like this one. This has got about 13.3% profit potential. And if you take on a pretty decent risk to this last support that is at the very bottom here, that's about 6%, which isn't that bad. That's about a 2-to-1 ratio, but you can keep your stop losses a little bit tighter on this. If you'd like, maybe 3 or 4% for 13% profit potential. With this pattern that we're seeing here, it's a very, very great pattern. And the setup is looking very, very good, very, very prime. Last week we were paying attention to this one. We didn't really know when this is going to start recovering, but now that we broke the EMA, that this is starting to look more bullish and more promising. Plenty of room on the RSI, like I said. So by the time we get to overbought territories, I think I think we're going to be quite at a high price here, probably at 232, potentially at this SMA line, which is, it would make sense to have that to be your first level of resistance. If not, we can probably even recover up to 246. So definitely add this one to your watch list and pay attention to it. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be LOW. Also one that we've been watching since last week. Still liking this one. Really, really like this one. We ended up having two highs of 215, pulled back down this trend. Ended up just consolidating, didn't break up to the downside or to the upside. We've just been trading sideways basically. So, we're looking at a 192 level of resistance. Support still at 186, about 184 to 186. So we're just consolidating sideways here. Not one I'd rush into just yet. I'd probably wait for a break to the upside or stronger break. We did see some more volume coming in on Friday and today. So we'll see how this one does. I still like the setup. Looking very, very good. And, Lowe's is a very great company. It's been doing very, very well. We've been sticking above this SMA line. So we'll see if we end up recovering above this SMA line. That's what I'd be paying attention to. If we start seeing more momentum in this, probably going to be heading to the upside. Very similar to this is Home Depot, which is HD. Same setup pretty much. We ended up trending down this trend line, and we didn't really necessarily break down to the downside or the upside. We have been kind of trading sideways, but more so towards the downside here. Ended up getting closer to this oversold territory here on the RSI, and we ended up seeing a nice push to the upside here on Monday. Broke the EMA, which is a good sign. Ended up closing above the EMA, which more confirmation of a bullish reversal to the upside. So, I'm liking this one. Very similar to Lowe's. So pay attention to these two, add them to your watch list. If you see value in them, make sure, you take advantage of that. We did see a very, very strong, nice push to the upside in March, all the way through basically May. And then we ended up seeing some healthy pullback, which is totally fine. If it was to crash, it would probably crash stronger. However, we just ended up seeing some nice pullback, which, that's healthy for that to do. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this pushing up to the upside, along with Lowe's. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be RCL, Royal Caribbean. We ended up actually having there was an article about this. The judge rules in Florida's favor in lawsuit over CDC's no sale order for cruises, which is a good sign for cruise lines, the cruise industry. So, we did end up seeing a nice push to the upside along with the market recovering, along with this news where, it's starting to look very good for cruise line ships, or the cruise line industry. We do have a support here down at approximately 778. So we're not quite all the way at the bottom. However, we were oversold here on Friday. So this push to the upside is looking very good. What I'm going to be watching here is this level of 87.97. That's what I'd be watching. So that's probably going to happen tomorrow. We did break above the EMA, which is a good sign. However, it would be better to see this break above the SMA as well, which is going to be more in favor of, you know, a bullish reversal to the upside, which would make us start paying attention to the level of 97.94 here as a resistance. We ended up seeing, you know, a 99 resistance here. Ended up getting rejected at this level for some time. So here from, let's say, the SMA up to the upside, we're looking at about 9-10% profit potential. And obviously, you know, you want to keep your risk to reward ratio fairly tight, I would say, on this, because we do have some downside. The risk all the way down to the support would be about 10% as well. So we're about, you know, 50-50. So I'd probably keep my risk at, you know, a 2-to-1 ratio here. So I'd probably risk maybe 3 to 5% on this, just because, you know, I believe that the cruise industry will recover, especially with things opening back up and everything kind of getting back to normal. So I think this is going to recover fairly well in due time. So obviously I'd give it a little bit more cushion on the risk side. So a 2-to-1 ratio, in my opinion, for me, that's what I'd probably do on something like this. So like I said, though, I'd be waiting for that break above the SMA. However, you know, the setup is the setup, you know, the opportunity is there. So if you see value in it, you know, take advantage of that. If not, then, you know, there's plenty of other opportunities out here. The next one we're going to take a look at is XOM. Oil, you know, we're seeing the prices of oil heading to the upside. We ended up seeing a nice pullback last week on Thursday and Friday. We ended up bouncing here on the SMA line like we have been. So that was expected. We were oversold. We ended up bouncing on the SMA line. MACD starting to recover, and it's starting to reverse and recover. We ended up breaking above the EMA line on this one as well today. So we're looking at about 62.89 right now, highs of 64.8. But we have been seeing a nice consistent trend to the upside on this one. So this is more so of a safer play. You know, we like to focus on quality stocks that have been trending to the upside over a significant period of time. And it's been about 6 months here that we've been seeing this trend to the upside, and it's been doing very, very well. So this pullback was just more of an opportunity for us to jump into it, capitalize on that recovery. And obviously it's going to consistently keep heading to the upside, not forever, but, you know, we have that historic pattern that it has been doing that. So it would be much safer than something that's a little more volatile and risky. So that's the situation here with XOM, ExxonMobil. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is Oracle, ORCL. Liking this one, we haven't seen as much of a recovery just yet, so it's still fairly early to jump into. I wouldn't say it's too early, but it's still an early time to jump into this potential play. Not like XOM that has recovered already as much. So this one, we're still just now beginning to recover. We broke above the EMA line. We're starting to head up for this SMA line. If we break the SMA line, that's more confirmation. That's about 78.98, and we have highs of 85.03. So even from the SMA line to previous highs, we're looking about 7.8% profit potential. We're oversold on Friday and Thursday of last week. Last week, we've seen a lot of pullback here on this one. And this one's starting to recover here. We do have dividends coming up here on 7/14. So that's not too far away. So keep that in mind. We have strong volume profile level here at about 79.17, which is the SMA line. So I believe that, you know, we'll either see a nice break to the upside and, you know, that 7-8% recovery, or we might get rejected. I don't think this would get rejected just because of the historic pattern that we've been seeing. Consistent uptrend pattern. We like it. So this pullback is more of just an opportunity. This usually, you know, happens. Earnings happened. We ended up seeing a pullback, and now we're starting to see a recovery. We saw earnings happen back here, ended up pushing down, and then we started recovering. Earnings here didn't really push down, but, you know, this often happens that, you know, earnings come out, whether they be good or bad, the stock drops and then starts recovering. Same thing happened here. Stock dropped, and now we're starting to recover. So very good play, one to consider for sure. If you see value in it, I see value in it, so I figured I'd share it with you guys. So the next one we're going to take a look at is going to be ROAD, ROAD. Nice push down to the downside. Not as consistent of a pattern. We are seeing a consistent uptrend pattern, but it's a little bit more volatile than the previous ones. So, you know, that's why I favor those a little bit more, just because they're more consistent. This one's a little bit more volatile. However, nevertheless, it is still trending to the upside. So I do like this one. Every time we have seen a pullback, we ended up recovering, pull back, recover, pull back, recover, pulled back a little bit, recovered, pulled back, recovered. And then here we ended another one right here, pulled back, recovered. And then right here again, we saw a nice pullback. And now we're starting to recover here on Monday. We ended up pushing up to the upside. We haven't broken the EMA level yet, but we did end up finding support at this strong volume profile level, which indicates that, you know, obviously buyers are interested. So we are starting to push to the upside here. RSI, we have plenty of room before we end up being overbought. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this recover at least to, you know, $33. We're sitting at about $29.95, if not higher. But, you know, that's something that I would be expecting. I'd be really watching this to break the SMA level. Once it breaks SMA, that's more confirmation, and that should break the EMA level at the same time, because they are starting to converge on each other. So that's looking good. MACD starting to reverse change of color here on the MACD. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this recover this week, potentially this week or next week. But I got a strong conviction that it might happen this week. So the next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Walmart, WMT. Not as consistent as the other ones that we've been watching or going over throughout this session. However, you know, nevertheless, an opportunity is an opportunity. We ended up seeing a pullback here down to the support level that we've been watching. Don't have it charted, but we have been watching right over here. We ended up seeing a nice rejection here. That was a resistance level. And then we ended up breaking that when we came back up to the upside, came down, bounced at the support, came back up, ended up coming back down to the support again, ended up bouncing again. And now we're breaking through this EMA level. Looking very good on the RSI and looking very good on the MACD. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this push up to this SMA line at the very least, which is around 140. We're sitting at 136 right now, if not recover back up to approximately where we were here. So that's about 142. So I'm liking the setup here. Not as consistent. However, like I said, an opportunity is an opportunity, and we want to take advantage of it. This would probably be just a play for this week, if not maybe for tomorrow or the day after that. You know, just because of the inconsistency, I wouldn't jump into this and just stay there. You know, obviously we are at a discount considering the previous highs were 157, but not one stock that I would just sit in for a long period of time, hoping that it starts heading to the upside. Because like I said, the volatility here is, you know, it's pretty intense. It's not as consistent. So probably a day trade or maybe a potential swing just to get this move that's going to happen here from 136 to 140, if not a little bit higher. And that'd probably be the exit there. So that's the situation with Walmart. The next one that I'm looking at is AIG. This one's a very good setup. Same thing that we've been paying attention to, very consistent stocks, right? We've seen this nice push to the upside here along this SMA line. We've just been pushing up, treading along, getting bounces on this SMA line consistently. A little bit of a pullback lower than an SMA, but we ended up recovering. Same situation here that we're seeing, and a little bit of a pullback below the SMA line, but we are starting to recover. We're about to break the EMA line, and we'll start heading towards the SMA line. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this head back up to 5408. We are looking like we're getting into a reversal here on the RSI, as well as the MACD. MACD is starting to change color. We're heading to the upside. And the RSI, plenty of room to run before we hit overbought levels. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this recover from 47.75 up to 54. So great profit potential. We're looking at about, let's go ahead and get that measuring tool. We're looking at about 10-11% here. And, you know, obviously manage the risk very tight. I'd probably manage at 2-to-1. So I'd probably risk 5. And that would probably be a little excessive to even do 5. That would be a safe bet, just because it's fairly below that 46 level. It would be at about 45, so 45.50. So yeah, 5% risk, maybe 3 to 5% risk on this one with a profit potential of 10%. You know, I can definitely, if not more, I think that would be even more. 11, almost 12% actually. So yeah, 5% I think would be great risk management. Like I said, consistent strong uptrend pattern. We're liking this one. Setup is looking good on the RSI and the MACD. So this pullback, in my eyes, this is more of an opportunity than anything else. So that's why I'm paying attention to this one. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be WBA. Very, very similar, strong uptrend pattern. You know, this week we're looking at all of these plays that had these strong trends to the upside, and then they ended up seeing some pullback because of the market pulling back. So I'm not surprised to see all these strong trending patterns pulling back, strong trending stocks pulling back, and presenting us with opportunities to jump into. So very, very similar, strong uptrend pattern, bouncing on this SMA level, bouncing, ended up consolidating in this period of time right here. And then we ended up seeing a nice pullback here. Opportunities presenting, we're breaking the EMA line. We're starting to head up to this SMA line. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this push to 54.89 or at least the SMA line at 53.80. We did break the EMA line, so that's a good sign. Plenty of room on the RSI to run. MACD is looking good. We just signaled a reversal to the upside. So I'm liking this one. Profit potential isn't that great here. Isn't that massive? I mean, it's great, but it's not, huge. It's not anything big. We're looking about 5%, 6%. So I'd probably have about a 2 to 3% risk on this one. From the $50 level. That's probably where I'd be looking at. So that's the situation here on that one. The next one that we're going to take a look at is KHC. Same situation, same setup, same pattern, strong uptrend pattern along the SMA line here, pushed down to the downside along with the market pulling back, became oversold. We're starting to flash a reversal here on the MACD, starting to head up to the upside. We haven't yet broken the EMA line, but we are starting to break it, probably break it on here on Tuesday. So I'd be paying attention to this one. We're looking at a profit potential of approximately 9 to 10%. So this one, again, probably a 3 to 4%, 5% risk management there for your stop loss. Great setup here again. The next one is UAA. This one is not as, not so much an uptrend pattern. This is more of a sideways horizontal pattern. However, it is slowly heading to the upside. It's just a little bit slower than the other ones. But we did end up seeing a nice pullback here. Thursday, Friday of last week, nice pullback. We ended up breaking the EMA here today, just closed barely above it. So we are looking good. One thing I'd say is pay attention to this rejection or pay attention to this resistance level here at about $21. That would be the first level. The second one would be the SMA level here at 22.27. But the recovery, even if we recover to that resistance level up here, we're looking at about 14% profit potential. Risk on this one, I'd probably keep it at about 3 to 5%. Nothing too crazy, just because we don't have very strong support anywhere. I mean, I guess we have a strong support down here at 16, but that would be a fairly significant. That would be about 12 to 13% drop. So you don't want to risk that much for, about a 12, 13%, recovery. So 2 to 3%, 4% would be sufficient for risk management here on UAA. This one has been doing very good. So I like this one set up here on our RSI is looking very good. MACD, we are in a reversal here right now. So I'm expecting good things out of this one in the week to come. So just wanted to add to your watch list, add it to your radar. The setup is looking good on this one. The next one that we're going to be looking at is MGM. Nothing too crazy. We ended up pushing up to 42 already here on Monday. So we had a big day here on Monday. We had highs of 44, consistent uptrend pattern. So I like this one. Even if you get in at 42-ish and it goes up, you'll make about 3 or 4%. So nothing really major, but you're still going to be making profit here, and it's very consistent, very strong, good company. And we are approaching over. We are about 56, so we'll be at overbought levels here soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if it would be like 44, 40, or maybe even $45. And before we ended up seeing another pullback, it's just consistently been going up and down, up and down, up and down along this SMA line. So we were at this SMA line here on Friday. So if you jumped in on Friday, you would have had a great Monday here with MGM. And then, obviously there's a little bit more room for it to go to the upside before we potentially see a little bit of a correction before we start heading up again. So this is a great consistent stock to, potentially jump into while it's still at a bit of a discount. So the next one that we're going to look at is going to be FAST, F-A-S-T. This is Fastenal. Nice pullback here. We ended up making highs of 54.40 here, pulled back below this SMA level here on Thursday and Friday. Had a nice strong push to the upside here in pre-market and Monday morning. All of Monday, we ended up pushing up. We pushed up here up to the SMA line. So I'd be paying attention to this one for tomorrow. If this ends up breaking above this SMA level tomorrow on Tuesday, I can see this recovering up to 54, which would be about a 3.8% profit potential. But if we do get rejected, there's a risk of about 5%. So for this, I'd probably keep like a 2% stop loss, or with, a 4% profit potential, or just avoid it at, or just avoid it, right? This isn't very, very consistent like the other ones that we've been seeing. So, maybe this one's not really your cup of tea. It would be great for a day trade. I wouldn't say something to hold for an extended period of time. This is more of a day trade idea for you guys to add to your watch list. The last one that we're going to take a look at is going to be COMM, C-O-M-M. This is more like it, right? This is more consistent, more uptrend pattern. This bouncing on the SMA level. We like this. We ended up seeing a nice pullback here. We are starting to recover here on the MACD. We didn't yet break the EMA level, so I'd be watching that for Tuesday and the rest of the week. If we break to the upside above the EMA level, we're going to be looking at about a 6% profit potential, and I'd probably manage my risk at about probably 2 to 3% on this as well. 4% maybe, because we might get rejected here at the EMA line and head back down to the SMA line, or we end up seeing bounces here historically. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. However, if we do break up to the upside above this EMA line, we are looking at that 6% profit potential. So one to consider for sure. So if you guys found any value in any of these stocks, if you guys got any trade ideas, make sure to smash this like button down below and share this video with a friend. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. We do these weekly stock talks every single week, providing you guys with the opportunities of the week to come ahead, providing you with the best setups, the most consistent and safe trades, along with, what the game plan is for each one. So once again, if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on next week's Stock Talk video.